Welcome back, guys. It's time to get some maintenance done to the E60 M5. It's something which I like to skip on every single car I own, and that's the coolant system. So I went ahead and bought a brand new genuine water pump, thermostat, and some O-rings, some bolts, and the temperature sensor. This is an additional, this is not required, but I'm gonna replace it anyway. Here is the part list. So basically I bought the ECS kit for the water pump and thermostat, which include everything, and additionally the temperature sensor, and now this cost about 750, close to 750, which is pretty cheap for M cars, BMW cars, especially since this is a genuine part. This is not an aftermarket one. You can go cheaper with aftermarket ones. The car does have around 140,000 on the clock, so it was about time to replace all this. And I also ended up buying these timing solenoids. All those, you need 4 solenoids, and they cost about $1,200. These little things. Since this car is 2006, and after 2008 they changed the solenoids, they revised them, so these one are better solenoids, since the old ones are slightly noisier and they can fail. That's why it's kind of recommended to replace them, and mine are out of specification. I don't feel any difference. I mean, I will see once I install this the new ones. We'll see if I'm gonna feel any power difference, but so far it was fine. I mean, it doesn't matter they're out of specs, but the car was running good. And the other reason I'm replacing all this is since I'm getting the code 2B59, if I'm not mistaken, for the thermostat. And I know the thermostat is pretty much on the way, and most likely the water pump is pretty close to the end of the life. So let's get to work, I guess. So the first thing which you gotta do is come here on the side and pop off this release hood cable. Let me get my screwdriver. So get a screwdriver and pop off this cable, take it off, disconnect it. Next step is take off all these 10 bolts, which are T30 bolts. Take them off. And once you're done with this, you can move to the next thing, which is to pop off this plastic clip. You're gonna use a flat screwdriver, insert this flat screwdriver here, you see these holes, and pop it off. Then once all this is off, you gotta disconnect the plug connectors. You see this one right over here, you gotta pop it off. And you see I have to still have to disconnect this, but then you come on the other side and you gotta disconnect this one too, and this thing can get out of the way. Basically leave it somewhere, wherever you want, and we're gonna keep moving to the next thing to pop off these lines from here. Then we have a one plug connector on this side and one down there. It's down there, I don't know if you can see it, but we need to disconnect this plug, which is down there. There we go. This one. I end up zip tying out these lines. This way we'll have more clearance to pull off the fan, but first we need to take off these 4 T25 screws, and once we take them off, we're gonna be able to pull off the plastic cover just like this. Just pry it a little bit and it's out of the way. To take off the fan, first you need to pull it off a little bit, and then you have 2 brackets which you need to fold So it's this bracket down there, so you can fold the bracket just like this. You see how I folded the bracket? You can move it. It's straight, but you gotta fold it like this way you can pull off the fan, and you have one more on the other side, which is a little bit more difficult to fold. For the second bracket you need to pull off the fan a little bit more and then keep folding, because the clearance there is not a lot. And you can use a long screwdriver to help yourself. This way you can fully fold the bracket. And now I should be able to pull off the fan. You still have to play around with it, so that's the difficult part, but you get the idea. The difficult part is to pass the bracket through the hoses. You can see on the both sides we have coolant hoses, so that's the most difficult part, passing the brackets through them, since the clearance is not that much, but not too difficult. And now I'm going to be able to pull it off freely, most likely. Yeah, it's out of the way, finally. You can see how much clearance we have now down there, and it's not a bad idea to take off the tray on the bottom. I'm not going to do it. I'm just gonna put some towels over it, and maybe later I will take it off to clean it up, but I'm gonna give it a shot since I don't want to take it off. It's my brackets, it's kind of messed up and it's difficult to take off and put back together. So next thing is to pop off this line here. This is for your breather, I think so, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is for EGR valves. So pop off this, and then you have a 10mm here, so 10mm bolt. Take it off and put this line on the side somewhere. This way you're gonna have more clearance to work. Couple of your lines, and then if you're going to reuse your belt, just mark the direction of the belt. And after this, grab yourself your breaker bar and a 40mm socket, and you see this pulley down there. Just insert your socket here, and then just put the camera here so we can see what is going on, and then just go clockwise, and you can see how I'm releasing the tension of the belt, and you're gonna be able to take it off. You can see it's pretty straightforward, and the first belt is out of the way. And the next thing is to take off this pulley, and then we're gonna take off the second belt. It's a 16mm bolt, so just take it off, and it's out of the way. Now we can move to the next belt. We're gonna grab ourselves again the 40mm socket, and this time I have to move the camera a little twice, and you can see how I'm losing the tension of the belt, and then just take it off. And that's it, the belt is out of the way. Now we need to take off the water pump pulley, and I forgot to get loose these 10mm bolts while the belt was still on, but luckily I have the tool, so I just got them loose with the tool, so it wasn't a big deal. But your best bet is to take them off before you remove the belt, otherwise you have to hold the pulley with your hand or think about something else to take them off. Don't be surprised if your pulley is stuck to the water pump just like mine. And the funny thing is, I took off this pulley maybe 5,000 miles ago when I did the rod bearings, but now it's stuck again. I guess I didn't clean up the rust. I'm gonna use a hammer, a pray bar, something like this, maybe spray it with WD-40 here, and I'm gonna get it loose, but just don't be surprised if this happened to you. Some WD-40 and then gently tap her with my hammer along the edge here, just very gently, and she was off, you can see. I ended up taking off the bottom tray, and now we need to drain the coolant, and you have a drain valve on the radiator. Just grab yourself a hose and something to collect the coolant and unscrew the valve, and the coolant should start pouring. You can open up your expansion tank this way. The coolant will start going faster. I end up draining a little over a gallon of coolant. The next thing which we can do is take off the water pump. It's held by 4 T30 bolts, 2 here on the top and 2 on the bottom. Mine is 10mm on the bottom, but for some reason they use 10mm. On the top also was 10mm, but when I did the rod bearings I changed them to T30. But I'm not going to do this yet, since I'm going to replace the thermostat also, which means I need to take off the intake plenum. To take off the intake plenums, first we're gonna disconnect the mouth connectors. Then we have 2 coolant lines which we need to take off from the airbox, and the filler neck for the windshield wipers, we need to take it off. And after this we have 1 bolt here which we need to take off, and 1 down there. Mine is missing, but there is 1 more. After this you have 1 clamp here which we need to lose, and pretty much the same thing on this side, but we also have this air plug which we need to disconnect, and then we can take off the airboxes. And to be able to pull out the driver's side airbox, you also need to take off these coolant hoses. Just pop the clips like this, and you can pull off these 2 coolant hoses. This way you can pull out the airbox. Cap off the intake plenums with something, and then we can move to the cabin air filters. You have 2 plug connectors, disconnect them, and grab yourself 30mm socket and rotate it counterclockwise 90 degrees, and this will loose this nut. And then you have 1 clip here which you need to pop off with a flat screwdriver, and now you can take off these cabin filters. And you have 1 screw here which you need to take off. Mine is missing on both sides, so I can just pull off this piece. And for the other side it's pretty much the same. And I forgot to tell you, you also have 1 more nut here on both sides in the same place. You need to unscrew 90 degrees and you can pop out the box. On both sides we have these holes which we need to take off. There's a clamp, just get it loose. There you go. Now we need to get loose all the hose clamps. Get yourself a flat screwdriver and just get them loose a little bit. You have 5 on each side, so 10 now total. And after this we can lift up the plenums, and then we have a few more hoses which we need to disconnect, like these two for instance. And we can take off this clip right now or later, it doesn't matter. Do yourself a favor and buy a long flat screwdriver, otherwise it will be really difficult to take them off. Like this one for instance, you can see that with the long flat screwdriver I can get to it, and this is the angle. And we can pull off the intake plenums. I already disconnected the hose here, and we have one more here on this side. And now we can go on the back, since we have two more hoses here. You can see this one on the left side and one on the right side, if I'm not mistaken, yes. And you have some wires which you need to pull off here, and you can take off the plenums. And we also have one more hose which we need to disconnect, is this one, which is connected to the valve cover. This one here is connected to the valve cover, so I already disconnected it. And you can see that this big hose is broken, like this clip here. It was broken before, so not big deal. I still running it like this, so I'm not planning to change it. And we can take out the plenum, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there we go. Finally, the intake plenums are out of the way, and you can see the piece of art I did the last time. Bunch of zip ties. I have too many broken clips, that's why I did this ghetto job. And now we can move to the thermostat, which is right here. This is the housing for the thermostat. First we need to take off this 10mm bolt. 17mm nut is next. Disconnect these lines. Like this. We have two 10mm nuts here, take them off, and this line here needs to be disconnected. And we should be able to pull off this plastic. There we go. And now we need to disconnect this line to be able to lift up this plastic. So I can pull it off like this. And there you go. And now, theoretically, we should be able to lift this. I guess we have one more 10mm bolt here, which we need to take off. And now we can lift it up and be able to work here. But I'm going to disconnect these plugs also and move the whole thing out of the way, since I also have to replace my starter, and that's why I'm gonna disconnect more things. You can do it also, it's gonna be more easy to work. I had to disconnect a lot of connectors to move this thing out of the way. And if you're not going to replace your starter or do something in this area, don't do this, because you're gonna break a lot of connectors. Like this clip here is broken, I just broke it. The last time when I did something in this area, I broke this clip. So now both of these connectors are broken. I'm gonna show you how to secure them. The problem here is that the plastic is very fragile because of the heat which the engine generates, and it's pretty much very brittle plastic. So let's keep moving. We need to disconnect these two coolant hoses, and then we have three 10mm bolts which we need to take off, and the bunch bolt which is 14mm. And now we can take off the housing. And here is the thermostat. That's it, finally. Took off the 4 bolts, and I also end up draining the coolant from here with a syringe. And I bended this bracket here because I didn't want to take off anything else. And you can see I'm able to pull off the water pump. Here's the old water pump. It's slightly worn out, not too bad actually. You can see the lines here. There's not much of a shaft play, so maybe it had a few more miles left. I replaced the O-rings of these 2 small pipes, but there is one more O-ring. You see this one inside of the thermostat housing. You can't replace this O-ring. You gotta buy a brand new thermostat housing if you want to replace it. And the bad thing is, if this thing is leaking, it will throw a code for the thermostat. And I'm going to take my chances with this one, and we'll see what's gonna happen. Most likely it will be alright, but if it's not, I'll have to replace it later. Because my E60 M3 does have the same style thermostat housing with a built-in O-ring. And I took my chance and it was fine. It's fine so far. So we'll see what will happen with this one. And here's the new water pump. Nothing special. Hopefully it will last another 130-40,000 miles. The new water pump is installed, and the torque specification for these 4 bolts is 10 Newton meters. I torqued them down by hand, that's mean by feel. And now I need to fill up the coolant. The new thermostat and the water pump are installed, and now I can put everything back together and be done with it. But I still have a little bit of work to do. You see these 2 things? These are the solenoids. I need to replace them with the newer version solenoids. I already marked the plugs 1 and 2. This way I will know which plug where is going. And you have 2 more on the other side. I marked them 3 and 4. And to take off these solenoids, you have 2 T20 torques, one here and one over there. So it's pretty simple. It's in a difficult place, but it's not too difficult to take off. I'm going to replace them like I already showed you with the revised version, which is this one. And here is the part number if anyone is interested in them. I took off the first solenoid and it wasn't that difficult, and you can see that I have 3 T20 torque bolts, but I do have one more to take off, and it's this one on the camera. This one it's a little bit more tricky. It's for the second solenoid, and the bolt is right there in the corner, so you definitely need a camera if this is your first time doing this. Like for me, this is the first time taking off these solenoids, so I definitely need this camera. Even if it's not my first time, it's a lot easier with a camera. Successfully took off the both solenoids, and here are the new ones. And now the tricky part is installing these O-rings, because they need to go right over there. You see the Vanos unit? So basically in these holes, and the Vanos unit is upside down, and the O-rings need to stick in to the surface of the Vanos unit. So for this reason I'm using a little bit of a multi-purpose synthetic grease. You can see there is a grease on the O-rings right now, and I hope that the grease will make sure that the O-rings will stick to the Vanos unit and they won't fail. So we will see if this is gonna work out. And you can see that it was all successful. You can actually stick them without using grease, but just in case it's better maybe to use a little bit of grease. And be prepared for this T20 to take you about 5-10 minutes just for one bolt, which is crazy, but finally it's all tight. The driver side solenoids are a lot easier to remove and install. I only used these two. Maybe if you remove the power steering pump on the passenger side, you can remove and install them a lot easier. Since you can see the power steering pump is kind of on the way comparing to the driver side. There is nothing on the way, so it's a good tip. In process of putting everything back together, but of course there is another problem. Let me show you. You see this thread? It's no good. It's all messed up. This thread is for the pulley, and I didn't over torque the bolt or anything. I was just tightening down the bolt and it suddenly stopped somewhere right here, so I took it off and the thread was on the bolt. So now I have to fix this thread, and the problem is this is not the first time this thing is happening to this engine. For some reason all the aluminum threads are no good. I mean, most of them at least. That's why I don't go by the torque specifications. It depends what it is. If it's something not important, I go less than torque specification, because the threads are just stripping down. And I'm not using some cheap torque wrench, you know, I'm using snap-on, and this thing is accurate, it's not dull. So that kind of sucks. Now I have to fix this. I was thinking that I have the repair kit for this bolt, which is M10 times 1.5, but I don't. I have this one, M10 times 1.25, but I found this AirP bolt, which is pretty much the same size as this one, so I'm going to use the AirP bolt and just use my kit, because I don't feel like buying a new kit for it. And you can see it does fit perfect, even better than before. So what I'm doing right now is drilling the hole. They're giving you a drill bit, so I'm using my ratchet with a socket, and I'm just applying pressure and rotating, because the aluminum is very soft, so you don't need a drill. You can see that it turned out pretty good. The only thing is that I will need to add an additional washer to the AirP bolt, since right now without the washer, this is the insert, you can see that it's pretty much, just a second, it's pretty much the same length as the bolt, and I can't really safely torque down the bolt without stretching the thread of the insert. That's why I'm going to add this washer. This is AirP washer. I'm gonna add it to the whole thing. I can grind out the bolt a little bit, but I really don't want to do this. So when I add the washer, it's all good. You can see that now the insert is longer, which means I can safely torque down the bolt. And now is the moment of truth. Let's see what's gonna happen.
Alright, it's all successful. I was kind of scared, to be honest. And now I might have another problem. I'm not quite sure on this, because you can see right now the bolt is sticking out a little bit more. I don't know how much is the clearance between the fan and the pulley here in this bolt. I think I will be alright, we'll see. If not, I will have to take off the washer, grind down the bolt, and I should be good. You can see that there is a plenty of clearance. And now the car have more of a character with this air bolt. So, it turned out that I bought the wrong temperature sensor, since this is the temperature sensor, if I'm not mistaken. And I can see any other temperature sensor here. So I guess I bought the wrong one. Anyway, I'm gonna keep putting the car together, and then actually I have one more thing to do, but let's first finish this front cover. Alright, let's move to the next thing, which is my starter. So the starter on this car is down there. I keep getting an error A0C1, which is for the starter, and then sometimes I can't start my car. But to take off the starter, you need to remove your exhaust, the drive shaft, everything. So because you have 3 bolts which are on the side of the transmission, but I'm not going to do this. You can see this is my new used starter. This one is supposed to be a low mileage, 70,000 miles. This thing is kind of rusted, but that's alright because I'm not planning to reuse this one. I'm just going to use this part of the starter. I tested out this one, it was working. So the way which I'm going to take it apart is basically so this piece is gonna stay to the engine, because you see these 3 bolts there from the transmission side. So this is gonna stay. And what I'm going to do, since this starter have these 2 long bolts, one here and one on this side, I'm going to take them off, and you have 2 T20 Torx right over here, one here and one over there. So when you take off out these 4 bolts, you can pull off this piece and just replace this thing. You can replace everything if you have a brand new starter. Let's say this one isn't too rusted, I don't want to put it back. But we'll see what's the condition of mine. You can see that this one is alright. I mean, the rust is not a big deal because it's still working. If mine is messed up, I'm gonna check out mine if it's any good. If it's good, I'm gonna leave mine. If not, I'm gonna use this one. So let's take it apart. First I need to remove my idler valve. This valve here is for the idle, if I remember correctly. I have to take it off to be able to pull off the starter. It took me about 30 minutes to take it apart, and you can see what is left from the old starter. These 2 T20 Torx on the back are the difficult ones. Only for these 2 it took me about 20 minutes, and this is because I couldn't find the right tool for it. And you can see that my wiring harness is still on the way. If you move this thing on the side, but you gotta disassemble a few more things, and this is something which I didn't want to do, and that's why I end up using this tool. Good thing I could find it. And you can see this thing can swivel back and forth, so with this tool we can take it apart for 5 minutes. And then you have these 2 long bolts which are pretty straightforward. I mean, nothing special. And this thing here is my old starter, so I'm gonna put this one. This is my new old starter, so I'm gonna use this from the new starter and this from the old starter, because the new starter, you can see the condition of this thing, pretty rusty. It's still gonna work, but mine is in pretty good condition, and I put a little bit of grease here. I don't know how right is this, but I think it should need some grease. And I'm gonna reinstall out this and basically be done with it. Let me see if I'm missing something, but that's it. Oh yeah, one more thing.
Actually, this thing is what it's left from the old starter, but you see this thing on the end? This is the bearing. There is one bearing on the end, which kinda need to be replaced if it's in bad condition, but I think mine is alright. I mean, I don't think this thing can wear out that easy, but this is the only thing. You see this thing on the back, needle bearings. It's a needle bearings, so this thing is the only thing which it might need replacement, but most likely not. And the rest of this is only cast aluminum, nothing special, you know. Alright, so let me put it back together and start reassembling the car. If your connector is broken like mine, you see my clip is missing, just grab yourself a zip tie, run it through here, and wait until it clicks, and then grab yourself another zip tie and slide it through here like this, and just tie it down. And now this plug is not going anywhere. Just cut off the zip ties and you're done. And the other way of doing it is just bend the zip tie like this and tie it down on the right here on the end. The next thing which I'm going to do is replace these old tires, which are cracking really bad. I did a quick burnout, a few donuts. This way they won't go at waste, and you can see how bad this thing is cracking. They were supposed to be replaced a long time ago, but I didn't do it because there were plenty of thread left. You can see how this thing is cracking right over here. It's really dangerous to drive these things, but I pretty much worn them out. They had a few more donuts left in them, but I couldn't take any more chance of this thing blowing out. You can see they're 2017. They're not that old. They're old, but not that old. So I'm going to replace them with the new ones and be done with it. This time it took a lot less weight to balance the wheel, about 2 ounces altogether, 1.5 ounces up front, and right over here, and 1/2 ounce right over here on the back. I'm guessing this time it was a good idea that I kinda aligned the dot with the valve. And the tire is more expensive because previously with the Kenda tires I had to put a bunch of weight. The second wheel took exactly the same weight. That's good. Finally, all back together. I already filled up the system with coolant, and you need to fill it up until this stick is sticking out halfway like this. I overfilled the system a little bit, but that's alright. The next step is to start the car and let her idle for 15 minutes, and the system will bleed itself out. Once you drive the car around the block for a little while, you can turn off the car, let her cool down, and then recheck your coolant level. You can see that mine is over the max limits, but that's alright. I'm going to take care of this later on, because I need to do something else first, and this is bleeding out the Vanos solenoids. And to do this, I'm going to use an E60 Plus. So first, I'm going to start the car, let her get to the normal operation temperature, and then I'm gonna come here and you can see this E60 Plus. First you gotta click vehicle management, then troubleshooting, then you go to function structure, and you're gonna press engine electronics, and then you're gonna go down, and you see this valve gear, and when you go here on the side you can see Vanos solenoids valves, bank 1 and 2. You're gonna press on it, and then another menu will pop out and you'll see what's gonna happen. But let me first start the car and let her get to normal operation temperature. The car is already up to normal operation temperature. Now when we come here, we gotta press actually this thing here, Vanos control cylinder bank 1 and 2. Press twice on it, and you can see there is another menu. So this one, continue testing, then continue on the bottom, continue again. I mean, you cannot see it, but there is continue right over here. Just press on it, and now we're gonna press perform Vanos system, blah blah blah. I guess bleed Vanos system, there you go, should be this one. So I'm gonna press on it, press continue, and now to bleed Vanos system, blah blah blah. I think I found where to bleed the Vanos system. So basically vehicle management, service function, then you go to engine electronic, Vanos ventilation, then you press on it, and let's see if anything is gonna happen. I'm not quite sure, but at least it says here Vanos bleeding blah blah blah, 18 minutes, continue, bleed Vanos. Alright, let's see. I hope that it will work, we'll see. Continue. Alright, now I think we are in the game. It's gonna do this for 18 minutes most likely. I have done this, but it was a long time ago. But you can see running time, let me go closer. Running time is gonna be 17.7 minutes. So that's how you bleed the Vanos solenoids. You're gonna hear the Vanos in a second again, I'm pretty sure. And this is how are gonna go the next 16-18 minutes. Few more minutes and we're gonna be done with the bleeding procedure. You can see 3.5 minutes. The car is not overheating so far, which is a good thing. We are done with the bleeding. Now we're gonna close this menu and we're gonna go back, troubleshooting function, to the valve gear, to the previous menu with the Vanos control. You can see we're gonna click on it. This phone doesn't want to focus, but anyway, now we're gonna go continue testing and we are going to delete Vanos adaptation. Yes, adaptation value are deleted, and now we are going to perform Vanos system test. And let's see if everything's gonna be good. This test is gonna take about 2 minutes, minute and 30 seconds. So, and we have one fault which is not good. The cylinder bank one. I'm going to redo the test and we'll see if this is gonna disappear. If not, I think that I know what is wrong. Let me just quickly start the process again, because you can see that I'm kind of running low on oil. Maybe this will affect the Vanos solenoids. I'm not quite sure on this. It shouldn't, because you're gonna use all the oil when you're at higher RPM, but I don't know. Because I already did the test and it was alright, then I rebleed the system second time and it's still this cylinder bank one wrong. I don't know, we'll see. This is just not right. They're brand new ones, so everything should be good. Still the same fault, which is weird. This is the fault. Maxed up, not okay. I guess I'm going to add a little bit of oil, let the car cool down, since she was running for quite a while. So we'll see what's gonna happen. I added a little bit too much oil, but that's alright. And I'm still getting the same error. Maxed up, not okay. Intake cylinder bank one, and the value is between 140 and 150. This thing right over here. And I just checked and saw. Let me show you just a second. So the value which I'm having is just 150.2, which is not a big deal, just a little bit off, which is alright. So I'm guessing it's all good. You can see it's 150, this is 150.2, and the other intake is 146.4. So it's alright, not big of a deal. So it's time for a test drive and see how the car is running. If you end up overfilling the oil like me, you can drain off a little bit from the oil filter. Just take off this plug from the oil filter, and this is how much oil you can drain. Whole cup of oil, this is probably 300 milliliters, something like this.
So far the car is running really good, no complaints. I really love the new tires. You can see how good the new tires are hooking up, and the car runs a little bit smoother maybe with the new Vanos Solenoids. I cannot tell for sure, but let's say that she run a lot better with the updated solenoids. Let me do a quick pull here. It's slightly uphill. It's alright. Really depends from the road if she's gonna lose traction or not. And I got stopped by the cops. How funny is this? First time in my life. For 18, 20 years, whatever. Anyway, it's the car lost traction and that's why they saw me. Perfect weather to replace the fuel filter, since the one which is currently on the car is about almost 140,000 miles, and when I do a third gear pull at the higher RPM, the check engine light is coming on, and it's something about fuel related. So let's first start with the fuel filter. We gotta pop off the rear seat, just pull on it, and you can see how easy you can take off the seat. For some reason this area here is kind of wet. You can see the foam, the insulation. See how much water. And I don't know from where exactly this water is coming from. I know that the drain plugs are somewhere here. I already fixed them before because it was leaking right here. I mean, it was coming from the top down to the rear of the seats, but I already fixed them. That's kind of weird. I gotta check this out later, but first let me replace the fuel filter. Basically there are 4 nuts here. We gotta take them off. Next we need to disconnect the electrical connector and the fuel line. Just be careful when you're disconnecting the fuel line, since there will be a fuel pressure here. But first I'm going to clean this area, since you can see mine is very dirty. It's all clean now, and you can see that mine does have a warranty seal on it. And I'm kind of curious if this fuel filter was replaced or this is how they came from the factory. This way they will know if someone messed with the fuel filter. Just curious. To take off the fuel line, just squeeze these 2 tabs here and pull. Just like this, and you can see how easy it is. Mine doesn't have any fuel pressure, since I didn't start the car for the last 24 hours. For the next step, just grab yourself a flat screwdriver and a hammer and just tap on it counterclockwise direction, and the cap will come off. But your best bet is just to buy the tool, which is kind of special tool, and it's gonna be a lot easier, because with the flat screwdriver and a hammer it's a little bit more difficult, and sometimes even the cap won't come off. It's not that difficult, just take your time and use a mask, otherwise it's gonna be really bad for you to breathe out the fuel. And this is how this thing looks. You can see Anyway, you can see how much dirt came off from the old fuel filter, and putting the new one was quite a fight, because you gotta make sure you reconnect the lines which are coming from the fuel filter the correct way. By the correct way, I mean if they go under this line or on top of it, because I messed them up, and the fuel level sender wasn't moving freely. Just make sure this thing is moving freely when you connect all the lines, otherwise you can still reinstall it, it's gonna run, but the fuel sender won't show you anything. It's gonna be wrong, it's gonna be off basically. When you're screwing on the cap, and if it's really difficult to turn, I'm talking about this metal ring, you can put a little bit of synthetic grease like this one on the metal ring. This way the cap will start moving a lot freely, because with my cap I had the problem. I was able to tie down the cap halfway, and then I had to use my screwdriver to finish tying down the cap, but it was really difficult, so I stopped, I unscrewed the cap, and then I put the synthetic grease which I told you about, and then I was able to tie down the cap all the way pretty much to the end with my hands. This is how you're supposed to be able to do it, tying down the cap by your hands. At least that's how I did it on all my cars, and this one was really difficult, and there was no dirt or anything, but for some reason it was really difficult. So this is a good tip if you really wanna do it the way I did it, especially with the screwdriver method. If you have the right tool, maybe you can do it without putting any grease, but for me that was the case. Everything back there is back together. Now we are going to prime the fuel filter. Just go to ignition 2 couple of times. This is gonna prime the fuel pump, and it's gonna fill up the fuel filter with fuel. And now let's see what's gonna happen, if she's going to start at all. This is the question. There we go. It's all good now. The gas tank is all the way full. I don't smell anything, so I think we're good, and I don't see any visible fuel leaks. I'm too lazy to take off the rear seat and recheck everything, but let's have a little bit of faith that everything is good. So I think we're pretty much done with the major repairs on this car. So I guess this is where I'm going to end the video. Let me do a quick tour just to make sure everything is good, but I think it's fine. I think we are good so far. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.